Hello, everyone. I'm Krista Moore, and welcome to the Krista Moore Talk Show. This is brought to you by K Coaching and ID Growth. And this talk show format is a new way to learn from industry experts or thought leaders as they share their growth ideas and their success stories. We're excited today because it's actually our first anniversary of the show. We've got some flowers here that came on my desk this morning, so I'm excited about that. I met our next guest at a speakers conference about a year ago, maybe less than a year, and I was really impressed with his passion and his energy, his level of experience on the topic. So I was excited to invite him and very happy that he accepted so that we can all learn from Cory today. Cory is the principal of Mosley Strategy Group, and he has built multi-million-dollar businesses. He's helped hundreds of small businesses and thousands of sales professionals really help them overcome many of their challenges. So I'd like to welcome Cory Mosley today. Cory, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me, and congratulations on your one-year anniversary.
Yeah, it's great. I thought it'd be great if you could start out maybe telling us a little bit about yourself. So give us some background, some things that we might not know about you.
Sure. Well, how much time you got? But the reality is, my story is pretty short in its essence. From my perspective, in terms of helping small businesses, in terms of the work that we're doing in the marketplace, I got my start very, very early on in an industry that we probably are all familiar with, the automotive industry. And it was through that industry, becoming a coach, consultant, trainer, and ultimately what most people don't realize when they think about car dealers is car dealers are the quintessential small businesses. So having the opportunity to work in that environment, sales, marketing, training, coaching, development, it created a unique opportunity for me. And what's interesting, obviously, that people don't know is I'm probably the only person you've ever met that drove a vehicle demonstrator to the high school graduation. So I've been doing this a long time, and I started very early in that industry.
That's great. And I love what you're doing today in terms of bringing everything that you've learned and the experiences that you've had to help other small businesses be successful. And this principle that you talk about, the
Mhm.
presence principle, when I
Yeah.
first heard it, I started thinking, oh, that means like when someone walks into a room, they take over the room and they own it because they have such strong presence. But I'm not sure that's
Right.
exactly what you mean.
No, so that is an interesting take, and that's what a lot of people do think. So it's a great conversation starter because you think about presence and you go, well, that person has gravitas, or that person, owning the room people talk about often. But the presence principle is really the outcome when you combine the ability to become credible, likable, and bankable together. That gives you the ultimate presence, not so much in a room, but in the marketplace.
And you talk about those three different principles, being
Mhm.
credible, likable, and bankable. And I want to take a deep dive
Sure.
into all three of them today.
Mhm.
And one of the things that we were marketing to our audience about our topic today was
Mhm.
about being able to really stand out from the crowd.
Right.
And if they're a sales professional or a business owner in a competitive industry or market,
Mhm.
I really want to apply some of this to what they can do to really have that presence principle, to differentiate themselves, to
Right.
continue to grow and to get more business.
Well,
So go ahead.
oh no, I was just going to say, um, the one thing I'll say, Krista, is when we talk about that first kind of element, that credibility element, many of your viewers and listeners that are running their small businesses or building their businesses right now, they're doing some good things, right? Let's assume everybody is doing good business. Let's assume everybody knows what they're talking about and are good at what they do. Their company is doing good work. So the question about credibility is who knows it and how many people can you create an environment for that knows it? If I Googled your business right now, how credible would I be able to deem you based on what I see? What most people don't understand about Google is it rewards age and frequency, not necessarily truth. So what's on that first page if I started to Google your business? And does what come back enhance the credibility? Or what does it make me think about your organization and your business?
Yeah. And so Google's a great example, right? So
Hmm.
what comes up on that first page? And
Right.
When we think about actionable things that maybe a company can do, that would be the first thing, right? Go Google your business and see what shows up. And is that what you want people to perceive you as? Or maybe you don't even show up, or it's confusing.
Right. Well, the reality is it's the new business card. So people will go, hey, do you have a card? Well, it's not, to be arrogant, but it's kind of like, well, Google me. I mean, that
Yeah.
is the essence, right, of what's out there kind of about you. So do you have testimonials? Are you controlling the environment? So if you're putting out blog material, if you're putting out information about your company or your service, or education-based information, as we talk about EBM, education-based marketing for your prospects, does it lead them to then believe that you are the credible person or credible company in the field?
Yeah, that really makes sense for me. And I also think about LinkedIn, when I think about a business Rolodex.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm a salesperson and I'm going to be making a sales call to a prospect, I would expect today for that prospect to Google me and
Right.
look me up on LinkedIn, just as we would want the salespeople to do the same for their buyer or their customer. So I wonder how many people on the line can be proud of the credibility in their profile, or is that something that you see most need to work on?
Well, I would tell you that's so interesting to me. Now, there's plenty of people who've written books on LinkedIn and make their whole business on how to leverage LinkedIn. But what's so interesting to me in a credibility environment, as we talk about that topic, is how many people I can talk to and network with that will tell me how great they are, how well they serve their clients, how phenomenal their product is or their service. And my favorite word of 2017 is game changer. Everybody's got a game changer. They'll tell me all of this. I'll go to a LinkedIn profile and they've got 2 recommendations. So what does that really? Again, it's not fluid. So your message has to be consistent across all mediums. So if I go to that LinkedIn profile and there's 2 people that like you, you can't tell me how you were the top, the top producer of Swizzle Sticks for 2016, right?
Exactly.
The proof is in the pudding, as my mother would say.
Well, that story reminded me of something. I remember I was interviewing some editors for my book, and there was this one lady that I found online that she looked very credible, and I'm reading all of her blogs, and I'm liking it. I'm thinking she would really connect with my material. And I went to LinkedIn, and to find her, I found her, but the profile really wasn't complete, and there was like 3 misspelled words on her LinkedIn, and she's an editor, right?
Right,
So
right.
I don't think I'm going to hire her, right? And I didn't,
Correct.
I had to give her that feedback. I thought it was important that she knew that that's why I
Absolutely.
wasn't hiring her. Yeah.
Absolutely, because this is, so the way I describe, let's think about buyers for a second, whether you're B2C or B2B. The average consumer will go into a restaurant, have a bad experience, never come back. So the average consumer is not a, high A and I want the manager and I want to complain. They just go, ooh, this was terrible, and we're never coming back. So when people make that distinction or little things like that, now you were kind enough to reach out, most people won't. And then they just won't say anything. I just recently went shopping for a new accountant and a new accounting firm. And to go online and see the websites of these people that I want to trust with my tax situations and liabilities, the optics are so important. We'll talk about that in a minute with likability, but don't forgo the optics to get your message across.
I want to stay on credibility for a little bit
Sure.
more, because something that I have, I think is really real in a competitive market today, and a lot of our viewers are in a business-to-business competitive market. They need to really shine, and they need to differentiate themselves even before they go on a sales call, and even more so with their current customers to retain them. You talked a little bit about content marketing. You were referring to being a subject matter expert, or being perceived that way to build your credibility. I just want to hear maybe some best practices or things that you've seen businesses and salespeople do in that area.
Sure. So one thing I will tell you is to keep it in brackets: visible equals valuable. So the visibility that you put out Meaning, how can you assert yourself as a subject matter expert? What information can you bring to the table? How can you get in front of something? There's a technique I want to share with the audience called newsjacking, and I actually got this from Shep Hyken, who's an expert on customer service, and he talks about the idea of taking the news and inserting yourself through video, through blogging on that topic. And what that will do in the Google world is it can help you rank and come up immediately in that situation. So for example, if you're maybe a builder and something happens in the building community where there was an accident and a building failed or something along those lines, you can simply go in your office, turn on your webcam, and comment on that topic, on best practices or safety or things that will be relevant, and simply put that out on a free blog. You can put that out on your LinkedIn profile, and you could get instant news access, media access, because as things trend, right, if you're on Twitter, if you're on Facebook, you have these trending areas. What's hot? What's the hot topic? And if that becomes a hot topic, airline customer service. Well, if you provide customer service training or coaching to people, then commenting on what happened can help you rank better. So not only is it a credibility thing, now all of a sudden you're on Good Morning America. How huge is that for your business? So visible is going to be equal valuable, and taking that education-based marketing approach too, whether it's a white paper, testimonials, all of those things in the marketplace will increase the credibility.
Perfect. And for those that are on the line that are salespeople and work for a company, I'm encouraging you not to sit back and say, well, my company needs to do more of that. This is about your personal credibility.
That's
and also you being seen as a subject matter expert in whatever it is that you do, so you can build your own as well as your company. Just wanted to.
And the one thing I'm sorry, I didn't want to cut you off. I just wanted to add to it while it was fresh in my mind. The people who are way smarter than me with the PhDs and do studies, what they found is that we are moving away from decisions based on company to decisions based on people, investing in people and individuals, not the institutions, whether that be a religious institution or a corporation. We're finding that it's trickling down, and people are going, I want to invest in him, I want to invest in her, not necessarily the brand itself.
Yeah, I think that's important to remember. So that second concept that you talk a lot about is likability. And I know that something that I ask my clients often when I'm getting to know them is, would you rather be liked or would you rather be respected?
Right.
So tell me how likability fits into that.
So likability was an interesting concept, and when I sat down and I talked about it and I thought about it, I was having dinner with a mentor of mine, Dr. Willie Jolly, who's a Hall of Fame speaker and an expert in achievement. He's a guy that's been called in by people like Ford Motor Company to get them motivated. And I was sharing this concept with him early on, and he turns to me and he says, it sounds interesting, but can you really teach likability? And he really made me think about it. And what I realized as we talk about this concept of likability is really getting back to an authentic you. So who are you really, and not philosophically, but who are you really? What are the elements of your personality? What are the things that Marcus Buckingham talks about when he talks about your strengths? How do you play to those? I'll give you a great example. Most people, it's very easy for me to be communicating with you now. It's easy to believe that I'm such a great extrovert, but I really am 50-50. I'm really an introvert in a lot of instances. I'm not a great networker. I'm not the guy that goes to the networking events and hands out cards and shake hands and how you doing. It's not a natural fit for me. So I have two options. I can work on pushing myself to try to change that behavior, or I can focus on the mediums where I feel like I do very, very well, which is pushing out a lot of video content, which is blogging, which is a lot of podcasting, instead of live networking or certain elements. So for your B2B or B2C viewers, likability factor is about finding more people and prospects who are in alignment with you, but being true to your personality.
Yeah. And we use the word a lot of authenticity, being authentic instead of fake.
That's right.
I mean, people, they don't want fake people or fake news. They want the real deal, and they want the authenticity. And I personally believe that when you're being authentic and you're being yourself, then you definitely are going to be more likable to the audience that you're attracting.
Another one of my mentors, Dr. Nito Quabain, who's the chairman of High Point University. He's also on a bunch of boards, very well regarded in business. He's always, if you ever see a guy, he's always in a perfect suit and tie. His pocket square doesn't move. He looks exactly just the epitome of business. But he speaks to a lot of youth. He gets brought into corporations to speak to a lot of young people and millennials also. And he talks about how sometimes they say, hey, we're a relaxed crowd, and, just, you don't have to be dressed up, or you don't have to be suit and tie. And he says, well, if I did something different, I would be inauthentic to myself, and I need to be authentic to who I am. So it doesn't matter what the venue. I've been in his home at 10 p.m. at night. He's in a suit and in a tie with a pocket square. So he lives very authentically, and I think if you're selling or supporting customers, it's very, very important not to take on this role of chameleon or be whatever the customer wants you to be, but to have that authenticity and let your natural audience pull to you.
Yeah. And that's kind of changed over the years, hasn't it? Remember in the early sales training days when we were teaching people to be a chameleon, mirror the customer, try and adapt for them, but not necessarily what works all the time.
That's right, and so it's interesting. I had 70 people, 70 salespeople in a big training and big corporation. And after the training program, a guy comes up to me and says, "Hey, I'm one of the internal trainers. I want you to check out my CD." So he hands me a CD, and on the cover of the CD is him with a big 10-gallon hat. I was in Texas, by the way, a big 10-gallon hat and some tumbleweed coming out of his mouth. And the statement on the cover is, all salespeople are great actors. And it really made me cringe because that teaching method, the buyer, and again, doesn't matter if you're B2B or B2C, because a B2C, a consumer, a person, a human being who's also a buyer or can make a decision, they're the same elements to what drive their emotion, what drive their psychology. So it was very disheartening to think that is the message in 2017 that we're continuing to put out, that we need to make these adjustments. Now, really quickly, I'm not talking about scientific things. I'm not really getting into NLP territory and some of those conversations. I'm talking about really this outright idea that Krista, you love to play squash, and all of a sudden I love to play squash too. This is your favorite team, and you don't say this is my favorite team too. Yeah. There's just an inauthentic piece to it that now, with the BS meter high, people may be missing the mark on.
Sure, and just trying for the purpose of being liked is kind of the hidden
That's right.
There. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
So the third component, and really one of the core areas of the presence principle, you talk about bankable. And when I first heard that, I thought, oh, he means if you're like this, you're going to make more money. But that's not really the context that you use that in. So I'd like you to explain a little bit more about bankable and why that rises to one of the top three.
Yeah, so when I talk about that, is ultimately you have to be the obvious choice. For all of you on here that want to grow sales, that want to bring in more customers, and that want to increase revenue, the quicker you become the obvious choice through your credibility, your authenticity, and your likable nature, that creates a bankability factor. It makes you bankable. The more bankable, meaning your prospect, your customer, B2C, B2B, looks at you as someone who will help them win. You will help make them a winner. You will help make their organization a winner. You are bankable. I want you to be somebody that I would bet on. And that plays so much into the biggest point. One of the illustrations I made, Krista, when we first met, as you were referencing, was the idea that I was at a networking event of all places for Keith Ferrazzi, who's got a well-known management company, and a guy comes up to me and he says at the break, he says, "Oh, hey, what do you do?" And I asked him what he did, and he said he's a life coach. And I kind of looked at him, and I've been known to have a little sarcasm to me, but I kind of looked him up and down, because if you tell me you're a life coach, you want to enhance what I'm doing, right? You can appreciate this as a professional coach yourself. But I look him up and down. I'm kind of looking at the shoes; they're a little run over. I'm kind of looking, maybe he could use a haircut or two. And I'm looking at him, and I simply say, "You do that full time?" And he kind of was taken aback. He was kind of taken aback to me, because I guess he wasn't expecting that. But I'm assessing that issue. You're approaching me potentially. Could I be a client? But if I don't believe you're bankable, are you going to help me win if I don't believe you're winning? Is your product
Yeah.
and service going to help me if I can't see and that doesn't mean, again, become something you're not, but you have to deliver on the message that you're carrying that you want people to buy into.
Yeah, it makes me feel like the client or the customer really needs to have the confidence. I'd like to
Mhm.
think of it like I believe in that. I'd take it to the bank. That's
Right.
like bankable to me, and I'm trying to relate that to your context
Right.
so
Think of
that
it like this.
they.
Oh,
I was just going to say, it's like they feel that they can trust you,
right.
that if they partner with you, if you're going to be their supplier or their vendor of choice, it's not going to be a poor reflection on them, that they can be
Right.
proud of that.
That's
That's
right.
kind of how I interpret it.
That's right. You're going to help this person and their company. Remember, buying into the person first, right? This person and their company, this person and their product, this person and their service is going to help me win. And I'm going to see that as a winner. As a kid, right, you line up and you pick the basketball team. You guys are going to play a pickup game, or you're going to play stickball or kickball, and your captains pick their team. They're picking the people who they believe will help them win.
Win.
That's right.
Exactly. That's awesome.
Right.
Just a side note, the
Mm-hmm.
the the win. We like to talk to salespeople about what um, win means, WIN, which
Mm.
is what's important now. And if
Yes.
you're focused on what's important now at the time of the sales process
Mm-hmm.
or in your relationship, then
Right.
you're going to be winning.
That's
So
right.
I remember think of that.
That's
One
right.
other question I had for you.
Sure.
I know as a coach, you really help a lot of small businesses and people kind of bring life back into their business, or
Mm-hmm.
to, in a lot of senses, reinvent themselves because of competitive environments or disruptive competitors or
Mm-hmm.
just the whole digital marketing world.
Right.
So how can this presence principle help business owners potentially reinvent themselves or kind of get a new, fresh approach?
Right. So, I mean, one of the things you have to start thinking about is ask yourself these questions. So, when I go Google myself, what comes up? How much of that real estate on the first page do you control? Meaning, is that going back to your blog? Is that going back to your website? What condition is it in? When's the last time you've updated your message? If I went to your site right now, would I know exactly what your company or product or service does? Or do you think because your product or service is unique, the website doesn't matter? Or, well, Cory, our product has to be demonstrated to be appreciated. Well, what if you don't get that opportunity? If you were your customer, if you were the buyer and you went to your website, if you looked for yourself online or your company, what would you see? And is that acceptable to you in 2017? Is that acceptable to you compared to what your competition is doing? Because again, my theory is obvious choice. So in one of our companies, which is still in the automotive industry, there's so much information, there's so much credibility, there's so much testimonials. You're going to get a copy of the book, you're going to get a copy, you're going to watch my show. You need to be convinced. We don't have pitch that much because we've invested in making the optics strong and working to become the obvious choice. And in your businesses, the question is, how credible am I now? And not just what awards do I have, but who knows it? Am I keeping myself a secret in the marketplace? Something like your LinkedIn business page, something like your LinkedIn personal page. Can you fill it up? I want to see 45 recommendations. I want to know that clients, referrals, people love you in your marketplace. Can I see that now? Um,
Mm-hmm.
is your brand authentic to who you are today? Are you in the right vehicle? Not to use an automotive analogy, but are you in the right vehicle in your business, the right position? Are you positioned in the marketplace properly? But
Yeah.
just assume the role as a customer. As I learned a long time ago, you can't see the picture when you're in the frame.
That's right. So it sounds like there just needs to be, first off, some personal reflection or self-reflection, kind of self-assessing what exists
Correct.
today through what you were describing.
Right.
And we often hear, well, that's just the way we've always done it, which drives me crazy.
Sure.
Um, so you'd mentioned to me one time about kind of
Mhm.
three steps that they could be thinking
Uh-huh.
about when they're doing some self-assessment. what direction would you give them on that?
Right, so I'm glad you hit on it. So I've found the easiest way to work through any process is to say, A, what am I doing now, number one? Number two, why do I do it that way? And number three, is there a better way? Every answer that we want, whether it's coaching, whether you need to bring in a coach, whether you need to bring in a consultant, whether you need to bring in a new web developer, every answer is available to us as a product or a service. So what am I doing now? What's our sales process now? What's our marketplace look like? What is out there about me now in the marketplace? What's out there about my company? A, why is it that way? Oh, you've got a blog up, and I go to your blog, and your last blog was March of 2015. You might as well not have a blog up. So, or at least remove the date. But what am I doing now? Why am I doing it that way? And Krista, to your point, when that answer is, well, that's the way we've always done it, or the last person who had that job in our company, that's how they set it up. That is not just a cop-out, right? Where you say drives you crazy, me too. But if that's your answer, it's a huge opportunity now to look forward and no longer look in the rearview mirror and say, if that was the answer, then that means it's a prime opportunity to move forward and find some new ways to get engaged and to fix that issue and capitalize on the opportunity. A lot of us, when it comes to business, have put this Ron Popeil method in place. And Ron Popeil coined the phrase, set it and forget it. And that's what a lot of people have done with their businesses.
Mm-hmm. Yep. What can I do better? What can be done better? Like that.
Right.
One other comment that I wanted to make and just get your feedback on this is something that we've really seen changing and shifting in traditional sales is the need to up-level skills to wrap more marketing around a salesperson. And it's not just the door-to-door traditional, but because of digital marketing and because of social media, there's a lot of other ways to touch customers as well as brand yourself. And we use the term smarketing a lot, which is like sales and marketing combined.
Okay.
I like to think of it as you've got a Reese's peanut butter cup, you've got peanut butter, and you've got chocolate, but together they're even better kind of thing.
That's right.
And that takes some training and some education. But what are your thoughts on companies and salespeople looking at the sales process very different today than in the past, using some of the present?
Right. So what I ask people to focus on is look at your process, look at your sales funnel, look at your approach, and ask yourself this question. Is it customer-centric or is it business-centric? Meaning, was it a policy, procedure, or approach designed to make your life easier internally in your company, whether that's an onboarding process or a sales process or how you process leads? You call an organization, someone takes your information down. I called an accounting firm. I use that as an example. I called an accounting firm. I told the lady, what I wanted, what I was looking for. She took my information down, told me somebody would call me after lunch. Nobody did. Well, there's obviously a breakdown in how a lead comes in. So is that just the receptionist writing it down and putting it in somebody's box and then hoping that somebody gets it? So that's an opportunity for a process change. Well, was that designed to be easiest because we didn't want to get a CRM system and we don't want to log in information and we don't want to spend the time to put a sales funnel together? So those are the types of things that I would be asking. Is it just business-centric? Are our policies and procedures and our action plans business-centric? Or are they customer-centric, designed to enhance the customer experience? Because the customer experience will guide everything that we're doing in the future.
Yeah. Great. Love that. I'm glad you added that. That's terrific advice, especially for this group.
Yeah.
So, Cory, I just want to thank you for the time
my
today.
pleasure.
It was great learning from you as always, and I'm glad that you got to meet some new folks. We wanted to share your contact information so people could reach out to you. Just want to make sure that was okay. We're going to show a slide up here that has, I think, your email address and your phone number. What's the best way to reach you? Maybe connect with you socially, or what do you recommend?
Yeah, love to have social. We pump out a lot of content, obviously, since we practice what we preach. So the easiest way, if you go to CoryMosley.com, is really simple. You have access to our blogs. You have access to all our podcasts, our business podcast, President's Principal Radio, and just really anything that we have going on that can help you in these different areas continue to build and expand your business. And Krista, I want to thank you certainly for exposing me to your audience and having me on, and hope I provided some value for them today.
Yeah, it was great. Thanks, Cory. I appreciate it. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Thanks. Bye-bye. So everyone, make sure you mark your calendar for the Krista Moore Talk Show. We're going to be live the third Wednesday of each month for the remainder of the year. And I'll be bringing to you special guests and different business growth ideas. So don't miss it, third Wednesday of every month at 2 o'clock. Also, you can go to thekristamoretalkshow.com anytime, register for upcoming shows, as well as listen to past recordings. You can download the podcast or listen and watch the video. So I have an exciting guest next month. Some of you know him. His name is Charles Foreman. He's a friend of mine for many years. He's also the COO of Independent Stationers, and he's going to be talking about the importance of diversifying your product categories and the value and the impact that your business can have from that. And he's going to be sharing some best practices on ways to bring new products to market and how to develop those new markets. So that's next month, and make sure you register. But at K Coaching, I want you to know that we care about you and we care about your success. So we'll see you next month. Thanks.